Welcome to the Backyard Blitz. It's
All
Wednesday.
right.
We cannot wait to talk about the divisional round. We cannot wait to preview the conference championships. Boys, what a hell of a week. How you guys doing?
Doing all right, BP.
Slinger don't look too happy.
You know, I'm sitting here listening to you guys in the pre-show go on about this freaking Niners game, and I'm just sitting here not saying a word. And I'm not going to get into it right now because I know we got a lot of show to get through. But you guys, I don't know who you are. I don't even know who you guys are. Are you? Oh God,
I'd be sick too, Drew. You changed your pick. You went from the Niners, you picked the Cowboys. I'd be sick too.
Had a lot of fun.
I'd be quiet
Had a lot of fun. Got a lot of people at my school saying, "What the hell were you wearing last week?" I said, "If you don't know, you probably can't afford it." Had a good week. A lot of good football. Well, some good football, some better than others. We'll get into that too. Busy week with school and athletic events and my new announcing career that has taken off. I will now be announcing the South Jersey basketball championship that we will be hosting at our school with two of the number one or two of the top five prospects in the entire country. One being DeJuan Wagner's son. So that'll be in a couple of weeks. I'll have some fun with that. But yeah, I've already got high blood pressure. I had to take an extra pill before we started this show.
Me too.
I'm all business tonight. All right. The Lone Ranger. I'm still the Lone Ranger because I'm still in first place.
You look a little more like Tonto.
I'm ready to go tonight.
He's ready.
My ass is red.
His ass is red. From that ass whooping those Niners put on those Cowboys. Slick man, how you doing, dude? I love the shades. You got your swag going on. I love the Florida hat, man. What's going on, dude?
I'm doing all right, man. Can't complain. Another week.
I'm excited for that bottle of Patron to show up in my house from that bet that we made. And I felt bad because when I sent you my address, you said, "Hey, man, send it to me before the game." And I accidentally sent it to you, and it was 14-0 Bengals. And then you laughed back, and I was like, "Oh." And then the Bills scored right after. I thought it was going to be a little bit more competitive than that, but I can't wait to talk about that, bro. It's going to be good. And we got the Prophet in the house. He's ready to go. He's got some $100 bills up there. Are those a little bit more $100 bills or a little bit less?
Oh no, they're a lot more. This was a good weekend for the Prophet. For the people that did email me, they benefited also. Bad day Monday though. My gosh, my grandkids come over and we were out kicking the ball, and doesn't my grandson pull a freaking Lucy on me? Yeah, my back's out now. I spent a lot of money, time, and effort child-proofing this house, and these kids still get in. I don't know how.
Hey, it happens, man. It happens. There was a crazy thing that happened today, and I'm going to be the first to break the news here on the Backyard Blitz. This is kind of serious, but Dak Prescott and his girlfriend broke up today. I don't know if you guys saw that. They officially broke up.
No, they did.
Yeah, they did. I guess she finally figured out that she was never going to get a ring. Yeah, she was never going to get a ring.
He's a loser.
How many Twitter profiles do you have to read to come up with that one, people?
Can't hold up to the big moments.
It's actually for real. She really broke up with him today. The ring part just happens to be a little.
I'm sure he's really upset with his hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh, absolutely. Well, hey, we got a lot of football to talk about that happened this last weekend. We had Bengals, Bills. We had 49ers, Cowboys. We had Eagles, Giants. And then we had that game in Kansas City. We'll start there. Kansas City and the Jaguars. I was really impressed with how the Jaguars kept fighting in that football game. But Patrick Mahomes got a little beat up in that, guys. What do you guys think about that? Like, what was your guys' reactions from that this weekend?
Who's taking it? Who wants to start that off?
You take it, Drew. You got your blood pressure up. I'm ready for you. Let's go.
I'm good. I was happy with that game. I thought that was a good competitive game. obviously Mahomes going down early didn't hurt the Jaguars' chances. We talked last week about would there be an answer for Kelsey. I think the Jaguars they hung on as long as they could, man. And I don't think there was an answer. I think he had close to 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. But they battled. They battled the entire game. They go into a hostile environment in Kansas City. Lawrence doesn't have his best game, but dude, they like you said, they were overachievers to begin with. They started the season 3-7. They're the first team to ever do that, to win a playoff game. Like I said, they don't have anything to hang their hats on. And the one thing that I really liked after that game was, Lawrence, he ran off the field and then he waited in the tunnel and shook every one of his players' hands coming in and say, hey, we're going to be okay.
I saw that.
We'll be good, and we're going to get them next year, dude. Like I said, with Peterson now and they, they're starting to build that thing the right way. I think that they got a lot to look forward to. I thought it was a good competitive game. It was funny how Vegas works sometimes with the backdoor cover, but I think we called that in the chat. We saw that that one coming from a friggin' mile away. But yeah, I thought that was a good game, and Chiefs are tough, man. Chiefs are a tough team, and we knew that going in. I don't think, like I said, the Jaguars really had the power to keep up with them.
Yeah, they are a tough team, and I thought for the Jaguars, that was probably the best thing that could have happened outside of coming out there with a victory. It would have been real bad if they got blown out. And they were competitive the entire game. I thought, at least in the first half, that it was looking like a perfect storm for the Jaguars to pull it off because Mahomes was gimpy. The defense of the Jags are flying around, but they had their opportunities. They held Kansas City scoreless on a couple drives. They just couldn't get anything going.
And then Henny comes in and has a nice drive.
Yeah.
And throws a touch or a nice, I forget how long he actually played, but he throws a touchdown pass. And
yeah. Prophet, what did you think about that game? What stood out to you about the Kansas City Jaguars game?
Yeah, the obvious, is Mahomes. He got rolled up on. I thought sure as hell he was done for the day. He comes back in and plays, and wins the game for them. But I actually think, other than him, the MVP of that game was Andy Reid, and the play calling on the drive with Henny, when Henny come in, they get the ball at the 2-yard line, and the first play is a pass play. He wasn't going to let Jacksonville just load up the box against this guy. Yeah, he was going to play his offense, and Jacksonville had to step back and say, hey, he's going to throw the ball, and he did, and he threw it well. He took him right downfield, and boom, Kelsey gets in the end zone again.
Kelsey's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Kelsey's just flat out ridiculous, man. Slick, when you were watching that game, I was looking at the defense of the Jaguars, and I felt like, when they banged up Mahomes, they were really keeping the Jaguars in it, holding them scoreless on back-to-back drives. But, Trevor Lawrence just couldn't get it done, and he didn't play the cleanest game. You can see that the Jags have something to build on. What stood out to you in that game that we can take into next week for the Chiefs?
Mahomes, I'm pretty sure when everybody saw that he went down, a lot of people thought that he would be done. But again, it's Mahomes. I even saw when he was on the sideline talking to Andy Reid and the trainer, when he kept telling Andy Reid and the trainer, no, I'm good. I'm going back in. Put me back in.
They were arguing back and forth.
Yeah, they were arguing back and forth. It's when that happened, I knew for sure if it wasn't broken, even if it might have been broken, I feel like Mahomes was not just going to say, okay, I'm done. I think it would end up like that. I did see somebody post a clip when with Byron Leftwich when he was at Marshall.
Yeah,
he broke his I think it would have ended up like that if he would have broke his foot or ankle. But yeah, I mean, like you said,
I forgot about that. That was a great clip.
Yeah,
that was.
Byron Leftwich, he's got his 2 linemen, and speaking of him, we failed to talk about that last week. I think that was a big time fire when they fired him. I don't know.
I think they officially fired him on Thursday, but there was like rumors of it before.
Yeah, somebody had to fall on a sword, I guess, for that season. But I don't know.
I don't agree with that.
I don't know if he was the guy that should have gone down for that.
I definitely don't agree with that fire.
No.
I mean, he had head coaching interviews the last 2 or 3 years.
That's what I'm saying. Right. That's the same OC that you guys won the Super Bowl with.
Right.
Yep.
So now all of a sudden his play calling isn't good enough? No.
Right.
You guys just
like you said, somebody had to go down for that season, but I don't. Like you said, it shouldn't have been him. But off topic,
No, it shouldn't have come down to him. But I think the thing that is standing out from that weekend, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more, is Mahomes and his health going into the game against the Bengals. The Bengals have beaten him twice, right? How healthy is he going to be? Now, I've never had a high ankle sprain. I've had low ankle sprains and they hurt, but I know high ankle sprains are a lot different. Have either one of you guys dealt with something like that before? I never have. You have, Slick? Tell me a little bit like what it's like. I hear about it all the time. It's supposed to keep you out 4 to 6 weeks, or sometimes 6 to 8 weeks. They even say sometimes it's better that you broke your leg instead of having the high ankle. Tell us a little bit of what it's like and what we can expect from Mahomes. What his rehab is going to look like this week.
Well, I don't know like what degree his is. In high school, I did mine. It was a high ankle sprain, but it was like a hairline fracture, and it happened in practice. And right after, like I went, it happened in practice. I went to the hospital and they did an X-ray, put me in the air cast, or whatever. But then the following day, when I got back to school, I went to the team doctor, like his actual office. He did another X-ray, second opinion, did whatever, and did some treatment. And that whole week, I just did treatment, iced them. They kept massaging it, whatever the case may be. So no, it wasn't 100 by the time Friday came, but I got it spatted. Well, I taped my ankle and then I spatted my cleat, and I was able to play. Of course, it's not 100, but I play receiver and safety, so I'm pretty sure it's the NFL. They're going to take care of him in the way they need to take care of him, even if they haven't given him a shot or whatever the case may be. Like, they're going to figure it out. So I feel like he'll be good.
Okay, that's good to know. Now we had some other games, right? We had the Eagles and the Giants, and that turned into there was a lot of buzz about the Giants, and maybe I kind of bought into it a little bit because I almost picked them. Them going into that game, and it was
somebody didn't buy into it.
Yeah, they completely the whole Giants team didn't buy into it because they got smoked. They completely got whopped on. So what stood out to you guys? What stood out to you guys about that game?
So the one thing that stood out to me was it was the one game during the weekend that I literally went to sleep. It was like 10 o'clock. I'd probably had about 12 Steve Weisers, and I was like, this game's over. I'm going to bed. And I woke up. You sometimes you go to bed and the games are blowouts, and then you wake up and you see the score got like really tight, and I'm like, all right, 38-7. Like, I didn't miss anything. The one thing that surprised me in this game, other than the fact that the Giants just completely didn't show up, was Kenneth Gainwell. I think the Eagles running back had over 100 yards, and like Sanders still had a good game. But Gainwell played really well. And then Devontae Smith had himself a game, and A.J. Brown is just kind of sitting in the background. I know Ricky says it's always a good number 2 that's got to open a number 1, but the number 1 ain't getting the ball. Like,
A.J. Brown was a little hobbled too. Like I thought I saw him like on the sideline. They pulled him at the end of the game. No reason to keep him in, but he looked like he was kind of limping around a little bit. He had something happened in the end zone
for a while too.
Yeah.
But we'll get into it later. But Eagles are good. Eagles
Slick,
are
this
a
is
good football team.
Nick's your guy. Nick Sirianni's your guy, man. What did you think about? He kind of plays it up to the.
Don't give this guy the time of day on the screen.
He plays it up to the camera, right? Sirianni, give him the little head nod or whatever. What do you think about that? Is that Nick playing it up, or is that just Nick?
It's him. I'm telling you, like he's a cornball, like, but it's him. It's not like a bad cornball where it's like, oh my God, I can't be around this guy. Like, he's so corny. But it's like it's kind of like dry humor. But he's like just being him. He's not trying. to be anybody else. That's just how he is. Like, for what I remember when he was coaching me in college. But as far as the Eagles go, I don't think that – I think the Giants came to play. I just don't think that the Giants had enough to begin with to play against the Eagles. And to go back to what you were saying, Drew, about the number one receiver, yes, of course. Smith did have a game, and A.J. was kind of iffy. But again, as long as A.J. Brown is on the field, he has to be accounted for.
No, I agree. I agree with you, but
so that still opens up.
He's just not.
For Smith to do whatever.
I get it. That opens up, Devontae and some other guys to be able to have big games. But as we get a little further down the road here now in the conference title game and potentially further, they're going to need that number 11 to step up and make the plays.
And he'll be there
for sure. I think
he'll be there.
Yeah, I think he'll be there. And usually, from what I've seen, is after A.J. Brown has kind of a quiet game, the next game he answers back with at least 60 yards or more. So I expect at least that from A.J. Brown. But what was interesting to me with the Eagles in this game, they really ran the ball well. I mean, right down the throats of the Giants. They just simply could not stop it. At all, and the passing game didn't have to be the focal point. And I think that might have been a little bit of an effect on why A.J. Brown didn't really need to get going. They got up so early and they stayed up. You don't need to keep throwing the ball, and you just keep going with what's working. But Prophet, in that game, I know Philly drives you crazy. The fans drive you crazy from Philly. What stood out to you in that game that you can take away going into this next weekend?
Well, the fans drive me crazy, but I've been saying it all season. The Giants suck. I said it last week. The Giants suck. They beat a bad 13-win team the week before, and everybody was giving them a chance in this game. I told you here last week it was going to be a blowout, and lo and behold, 38-7. You know what? Jalen Hurts is fine. That's what I took out of that game. I mean, the first couple of runs that he had, he kind of shied away, but going towards the goal line at one time, he lowered his shoulder, his left shoulder, his injured shoulder, and he took the defenders on. Jalen Hurts is fine. He's going to be ready for this week, as will A.J. Brown, and we'll talk about the outcome of that one later.
I just got to point something out here real quick. I can't stop looking at Prophet. And Prophet, next time you wear a shirt, you can't wear a shirt that's the same tone as your skin because it looks like you're not wearing a shirt underneath your jacket. I just noticed that. I'm like, is he wearing a shirt under there, or is he just letting all his roast beef hang out? I'm like, that's a tank top, but it's
so my skin is salmon color.
Yes, your face, it's that high blood pressure.
Well, that's because you were on earlier with me.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, man, that's good.
Oh, that's too good.
So what was that, Saturday's games? Yeah, dude.
Those were Saturday games.
Night, yeah.
Now, I'm excited.
Sucked. I fell asleep Saturday night.
The Saturday's games were kind of like, okay, but Sunday's games, I was ready for. Now, the Bengals and the Bills, that game, I thought there was going to be a little bit more back and forth in that. It started off all Joe Burrow, and they jumped out quick in that game. Drew, what stood out to you in that? There was snowy Buffalo. It looked like everything was set up for Buffalo to beat the Bengals and move on to the AFC Championship game, and it just didn't happen.
Everything was set up for Buffalo to win that game. Emotions were running high. Weather was in their favor, except one main thing. If you listen to the Lone Ranger last week, he said the Bengals are going to win this game. And what happened? The Bengals won that game. Bengals friggin' are – you can talk about the Niners all you want. You can talk about the Eagles all you want. Bengals are one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team in the NFL. And they went out, I think, on Sunday and just dominated that game. And we're talking about it in the group chat, and I think somebody said, like, I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to throw it out there. Joe Burrow's better than Josh Allen.
That was me. I think he is.
Dude.
He is.
They're hot right now. I will say Joe Burrow is better than Josh Allen right now because Josh Allen's home playing golf, and Joey B's getting ready for the conference title game.
I think they're two different quarterbacks. I wouldn't compare
They
them.
are. I mean,
I think Joe Burrow plays the position of quarterback probably better than anybody in the NFL right now.
Definitely feels way more consistent.
Yeah, like he's not the
he doesn't
he'll scramble around a little bit, but he's not going to make the play with his legs like a Josh Allen will or a Jalen Hurts will,
He can,
or
though.
even Mahomes.
Don't sleep on him. He definitely can.
He can move.
He's gonna stand in that pocket and he's gonna go through his reads and he's gonna deliver the ball where it needs to go. And that was something that really stood out to me on Sunday there. Like that absolutely stood out to me. And it was poor conditions to throw the ball, but I'll tell you what, the Bengals ran the ball well.
Yeah.
They
ran the ball well, and I was just going to say before I was rudely cut off because I wasn't done my points yet. The Bengals ran the ball well, and the Bills' rushing game was non-existent.
Non-existent.
We talked about this kind of off and on throughout the whole season about
we did.
Who's their running back? Like Josh Allen can't carry the load as the team's leading rusher all year if they want to get to where they're going or where they want to be in the playoffs, and they ran for like 55 yards combined. Like and there was no rushing attack, man.
And they drafted a running back to help out with that, but they just put him in the same role, and they don't use him as often as they should. It's really strange, man.
Something about that stadium up there that I don't like. It's just weird, man.
The snow.
It is weird.
It's a weird city. Sorry.
So Slick, you picked the Bills. You're all ready for them now. When you watch the game, what did you think was the Bills' downfall? We talked about them not running the ball well. I don't think that Josh Allen played particularly well. We've seen Stephon Diggs get upset on the sideline. There's probably a lot of emotion that I've seen from him in the last.
That was wild.
They had to I guess after the game too. He left before he didn't even want to do interviews.
Got pissed off.
Yeah,
both Diggs were mad.
They did. So what did you think about that? Like, what do you think the Bills' downfall was in that game?
Everything you just said, but the key, some of the pieces that they were missing on defense, I think, kind of showed because even though some of those pieces, like a Miller, what's the safety? Is it Poyer?
Hyde.
No, Hyde. Yeah, Hyde. Even though those are two guys, those are key positions, and I feel like up until Sunday, they were kind of finding guys to step up and make plays, and they were kind of getting over with it. But yeah, I think Cincinnati kind of really exposed it.
Yeah, I think so too. And you could see, it was like the big plays that some of the receivers would make normally throughout the year. Like Gabe Davis had one down the sideline where it hit him right in the hands, and it just kind of got tipped out. But it was that's one that he normally would make in other games. It just seemed like they weren't all meshing. They weren't clicking. The chemistry wasn't there. And it was as the further the game got along, the more they pressed and the more that you could tell it's just really not going to click. Prophet, when you watch that game, you got Josh Allen. There's a vivid picture I see of him with the snow coming down and just sitting on the bench, and that he's going to take the loss. As you were kind of watching that, what were your thoughts going through there? Were you thinking, hey, man, the Bengals are for real, or do you think the Bills more kind of lost that game?
Well, I think it was a little bit of both. Cincinnati played in the Super Bowl last year, so they didn't need any extra incentive. And a couple of weeks ago, we talked about this, and I said, the NFL was against them. They're showing that, openly showing it. Joe Mixon flipping a coin against Baltimore. Yeah. Burrow saying this week, I guess everybody's going to have to get refunds now for the ticket sales in Atlanta and all. Yeah. They got a chip on their shoulder. The NFL was working against, not that they were doing it intentionally, but everything they were doing was working against them. And now they get to go into Kansas City and play against a team that's around 100%. Buffalo, we've been saying it all year. Josh Allen, he has to win something before you can put him up there with the elite. He is an elite fantasy quarterback. If you want a quarterback on your team as your number one pick, take Josh Allen. You want a quarterback that's going to win you a Super Bowl. Right now, I don't think he's got it in him.
That's a soundbite.
I said that a while back, about midway through the season. I said he's got to win something. I want to see him do it. And now when it came up time for it, it didn't happen. And now I think people are starting to look at that. But yeah, people in the chat right now are talking about Von Miller. Definitely, I think not being able to get to Joe Burrow and have him be able to buy the extra time and find the open receivers was a big deal. But Cincinnati brought their run game. Cincinnati brought their defense, and as we can tell in NFL. Yeah, you can have your high-flying offenses, but you know what travels and what wins playoff games is a running game and defense. Now, Rachel, I don't know if you want to cover your ears for this. Drew, I don't know if you want to cover your ears for this. But we had an old-school fist fight Sunday night to cap off the Divisional Round weekend, and you guys
were wearing
awesome.
Those big balloon gloves. That's what the hell that was. Yeah,
wow.
Both teams had the big balloon gloves on their
wow.
fists. Nobody wanted to do anything. They're like, me. That's a fist fight. I love it, dude. You would fit right in Philadelphia, BP. You could spin any friggin' story.
It wasn't a fist fight.
You can
it
make
wasn't
chicken
a defensive
salad out of
game?
chicken poop, and you do a good job of it, BP. You would fit right in here in Philadelphia because whatever you're watching, you were watching through crooked lens. Maybe you were hitting a little bit of that whiskey a little too hard that you got as a gift over there on Sunday. But I don't know what the hell you watching. That wasn't a fist fight. That was a damn pillow fight. But I digress, and I'll let you continue.
Thank you.
So you're saying it wasn't a defensive battle? Because that's what I'm talking about, an old school fist fight.
If you want to call a low-scoring game a defensive battle, then by all means, call it a defensive battle. If you want to call a low-scoring, sloppy game what it is and call it a slop fest, that's what I'll call it. Because that game was bad on both sides. But no, it was 19-12, so it was a defensive gridiron rock. No, it wasn't. That game should have been 45-12.
No.
Yes.
No, that's not the kind of game that it was going to be. That you had two of the top defenses in the league. It should have been.
The game should have been. It's not the game it was supposed to be, but it should have been the way it played out.
You think San Fran should have scored 45 points against that defense on Sunday? That defense played their asses off.
They should have scored 30 points. The way Dak played, the way he gave the ball away, the muff punt, the friggin' the defensive holding calls on a sack that gives them a first down and late in the game to go up and score to go ahead.
You mean
touchdown.
The defensive holding call when they tackled Kittle?
Yes, that had no bearing on the play. Purdy was already in the grasp of the defender. I get it. It's a penalty.
He was looking right at.
I get that it's a penalty.
Gosh.
I understand, but Purdy was already in the grasp. I'm saying
says the same quarterback that would watch Ricky get tackled and be like, I was going to go there, but Ricky got tackled. Should have been a call.
The way the Cowboys played on Sunday, if the Niners are the damn elite team that you claim they are, then they should have put up 35 on this team.
You know what they put up?
They played like crap. Both teams played like crap, and they won the game. Good for you. They won the game. You're going to go into Philadelphia. You're going to lose by 35 friggin' points. I hope you enjoy your season.
Wow. Man, that sounds like a joke.
That game was a joke.
That sounds like a Patron.
Purdy showed that he was human. He didn't do anything. Oh, he won on the game. No, he didn't. He
Drew,
was like
I don't know what you're looking at, man.
I give you credit. I try to give you credit all year for being knowledgeable, for being a football guy, because I played with you and I know that you are. But you are so blinded by your fanness.
You're the only person
that you can't call it down the middle. You can't call it down the middle.
What do you mean down the middle? That wasn't a defensive battle. How did he play like a rookie?
Okay, you're right.
Did he turn over the ball?
Every low-scoring game
did he turn over the ball?
Battle.
Did he turn over the ball, Drew?
Did he score?
He didn't turn over the ball. Yeah, they put up a touchdown.
He didn't. Did he throw the touchdown?
He handed off to Christian. He put up 214 yards.
All right. Oh my God!
Who threw the ball to Kittle when he bobbled it down there? It was that turned the game around.
Give me a blood pressure check, Larry.
Man, hey, let's go to the Prophet, because you're shaking your head. You obviously disagree as well. Like, what did you see in that game? Because I saw a defensive battle. I saw two good defenses going back and forth, and it was coming down to the quarterbacks, and Dak was the one that made two mistakes. So what did you see, Prophet, in that game?
Let me preface my points here with saying I picked Dallas last week. I said, Dallas was going to have to string together two good games in a row, which they haven't done all season, to win this game. But I honestly thought Dallas's defense was going to give Purdy fits. And they did to a certain degree. But Purdy came into his own in this game. He made some plays when he had to. And he didn't turn the ball over. I texted with you guys last week during the game. Now, I don't know whether it was the Willie talking or writing or whether it was, that was one of the best low-scoring games that I have seen in quite some time. I mean, most times defensive games, it's bad offenses. That was not the case this week.
Oh my God!
I mean,
how was the Cowboys' offense not bad offense? How are the
okay,
Cowboys' mistakes
you had a couple of interceptions.
Mistakes, not crucial mistakes that put the Niners in prime position to score.
Well,
the Cowboys,
defensive holding on a sack that leads them to a touchdown. You got a muff punt that leads to a score. You got a turnover right before the half with the interception. How is that good offense?
Well, I'm not saying it's good offense, but it's good defense.
It just did.
It was two teams that made enough plays to make the game fun offensively, but they didn't make a ton of plays to get the ball in the end zone.
Right. Well, that's all I'm saying. Is if the Niners were an elite team the way they should be, they should have been able to capitalize on the countless Cowboys mistakes.
They were going up against one of the best defenses in the league, Slinger.
Yeah. Right.
Come on, you're not playing Seattle every week where you can throw up 37.
Dallas had a nice mirage for Purdy though, huh? Been a nice couple of weeks.
A nice couple of weeks.
What?
Matter of fact,
nice,
if you put his
7 weeks,
if you put his numbers up in the last 7 weeks against Jalen Hurts, they're actually pretty dang close.
Here we go. Good. Yeah,
they are.
Jalen Hurts missed 2 games with a friggin' 8.
No, his last 7 starts versus Purdy's last 7 starts.
I thought it was a great game.
I won't compare those two. I won't go that far.
I'm not going to compare them, but I'm going to tell you.
I thought San Fran definitely deserved the win. I will throw something out there against the Dallas organization. I thought they made a huge mistake on bringing Brett Maher to the game if they were not going to let him kick. Right before the half, they had a chance to kick a field. Well, it would have been a 53-yard field goal or so,
which is well within his range.
Exactly,
well within his range.
But they didn't put him out there, So if you don't have confidence in the guy, he's going to, don't bring him. Bring somebody else, because that's a key part of the game. And he ended up kicking 2 field goals, but.
Well, one of those was a crucial part in that game because they could have kicked the field goal and they didn't, and then Dak ends up throwing the pick before halftime, and then it turns into 3 points going the other way.
The other way, exactly.
Now, Slick, in this game, like you picked the Niners, and you were watching that game too. That game had a lot of nostalgia for me. There were so many old school legends in that building. You had Irvin on the TV before, and then you had Joe Montana, Steve Young, Roger Craig, all these guys in the stadium. And then you see this battle that's going on between them, and it's hard fought. It's hard to get yards. It's who's going to make the mistakes. What did you see in that game, Slake? What stood out to you?
I was just about to say what you said. Like, so what all you guys have been saying, I don't disagree with none of you guys. I felt like that game was not going to be a high scoring game. Period. Like, both of them have good defenses. I felt like that game was going to come down to who had the quarterback that played the best, and I feel like that's what it came down to.
Mm-hmm. Who didn't make the mistakes, really?
Both teams had turnovers. I mean, you had the muff punt with the Cowboys, but Ray McLeod, he fumbled 1-2, and Dallas recovered it. And like it was certain things that happened throughout the game where I feel like 49ers definitely should have capitalized and put up more points, or they had the opportunity to do so. And I feel like it was certain situations where the 49ers put them in situations and they didn't capitalize on it as well. I feel like Purdy, he played the game safe. Like, he took care of the ball and he just basically managed the game, and that's really all they needed him to do at that point.
Yeah. I got to tip my hat to a couple players. One is Micah Parsons. That guy, now, he played his ass off.
Yeah.
Like, watching him and how he was able to. Now, he didn't have any sacks, but the way that he was
caused
able
a
to,
lot of
he's
commotion.
a lot of disruption in the run game, chasing down, causing pressure.
He ragdolled that one dude, the one play.
Oh, yeah, Mike McGlinchey just tossed him. Like, that was ridiculous.
That was
and another guy
Reggie White.
is Brock Purdy. And here's why. He played the kind of game to just don't lose the game. He's a seventh round rookie, Mr. Irrelevant in this last year. And he goes out there and doesn't make a mistake. How many guys have we seen that moment's too big for him? This guy's won 2 playoff games, and Dak's only won 2 playoff games. Tony Romo won 2. There's a lot of guys out there that have never made the playoffs. Justin Herbert's another one. And we see a kid come in there, and yeah, it wasn't 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, but it was enough to win the ball game. And I thought that was awesome to see, from where he was drafted in that type of game, to know the type of game he was in. I thought that was pretty cool.
It wasn't going to be that kind of game that he was going to throw for 300. He just had to protect the ball, and he had to manage that game, and that's what he did. Nobody has talked about this yet, and I'm looking for some clarity. What the hell was that last play of the game on that?
Oh my gosh!
That last play of the game should have costed Kellen Moore any head coaching opportunities that he had, or any head coaching interviews that he had lined up this week. That was abysmal.
That was a 7-man flag play.
It was the epitome of overthinking a situation and trying to do too much.
And not only that, but let's really kind of dive on this. I didn't want to pile on the Cowboys, but I'm going to here. So the game last year in the playoffs against the 49ers, it was bad clock management that cost Dallas a game. You had Dak run up the middle, slide. They're not able to get the ball spot, and the clock ends up running out on them before they can get off a Hail Mary attempt. They lose by 6. So this game, it wasn't even necessarily that play like, okay, yeah, it didn't work. They were trying to do something crazy in a desperation situation. I get it. The play that killed me for Dallas, if I was a Dallas fan, was the 3rd and 10 where Dak can do anything but take a sack there. Throw it away, try to keep time on the clock. I think they had all 3 of their timeouts at the time. It was like 2 minutes, 50 seconds left. Well, he takes a sack, and then Mike McCarthy lets it go all the way down to like 2 minutes and 10 seconds before he stops the clock.
Calls a timeout. Yep.
And then all of a sudden, it's like you just wasted 35 seconds off the clock, and now your defense is really up against it. And then they still had an opportunity to get the ball back. If you can imagine them having another 30 or 40 seconds in that drive, that changes how they call that drive and how San Francisco plays defense. So 2 years back to back where they're unable to manage the clock, that's alarming to me. If I'm Jerry Jones, if I'm anybody making decisions on coaching staff or whatever, it's unbelievable.
It ain't alarming to Jerry Jones. I don't think anything's alarming to Jerry
And Larry,
Jones.
I see you. Hell yeah, Kittle. 5 catches, 95 yards. Had to play the turnaround the game. Hell yeah, that's awesome. Well, we got to turn it around now because we got a big weekend. What kind of sucks is, like, now we only have 2 games to talk about this weekend. Like, there's 3 games left in this football season, and I'm starting to count the quarters now where I'm like, oh man, like I cannot believe the season's gone so fast. It seems like just yesterday we were talking about division previews, and now we're talking about conference championship previews. But the first game that we have on Sunday, so both games are on Sunday, no Saturday games. So now we don't have no Monday games. We have no Saturday games, is the 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles here. And the Eagles are 2.5-point favorites. Now, I find that interesting because, Prophet, you taught me this year, is the home team usually gets 3 points, really, being at home, right? And it's 2.5. So that tells me Vegas is almost kind of throwing this as a pick 'em, really. As a pick 'em. So over-unders at 46. This is a really – now, Drew, you said you didn't like the matchup last week, the offenses. I see this as being the same type of game as it was against Dallas, the same type of game as it is going to be this weekend. Now, I want to spend a lot of time talking about it. So we're going to start off with Drew. I hope your blood pressure is down. I know you're right there, and I know the buzz is going crazy there in Philly. It's got to be going nuts. But the first game, Championship Sunday, I know it's going to be loud. Sirianni's going to be going nuts. They're going to have the fireworks going off. What in this game are you looking out for? What are the matchups? And tell us about it.
So I got hot a little bit talking about the Eagles. They're the Niners Cowboys game. I got hot. I am hot. I think that you just said this is going to be the same type of game as it was as last week. I don't think so. I think that the Eagles offense has proven that they can score on almost, if not everybody. And I think that the Niners are going to have to keep up with the Eagles from an offensive standpoint. And this is where you guys are in trouble, because the way you said you just needed Purdy this week to manage a game and get through a game and get the win, you're going to need Purdy this week to win you the game. And it's going to be interesting to see if he can do that against an Eagles team that I described as a buzzsaw last week because I was a little hot. I don't listen. I'm a fair official here. I'm calling it right down the middle. Not an Eagles fan, but they are good. And I think that the Niners are going to have to play their best football.
Of course. It's a championship weekend.
Again, your rookie quarterback is quite possibly going to have to win you the game. So I'm curious to see if he's got the cojones that it's going to take to get that done. We all know Philadelphia, hostile environment, going to be rocking. You know, it's already rocking, man. The city is buzzing like it's never been in well, I don't want to say a few years, but dude, the hopes here are Super Bowl or bust.
Yeah,
that's what the hopes are in this city. When you got a team that's been clicking on offense, defense, special teams, the coach, I know Ricky's got a personal connection to him. I think he's and you used the word corny, which I think fits. He says corny in a good way. I say corny in a bad way. He's pandering to the Eagles fans here in Philly, but they love it, dude. They're like this. You know how Zeke goes like this? Dude, the Philadelphia faithful are eating out of Nick Sirianni's hand. Because you got this dude who came in and just started wearing Rocky Balboa shirts, and like the Philadelphia Eagles fans worship a friggin' fictional character. They're worshiping Nick Sirianni. It's crazy. The buzz is crazy in this city, man. And like I said, I got the Eagles in this one. I don't think they can do it. I got the Eagles in this one. Honestly, I think like 34-17.
Okay. No, that's good. What do you think, Prophet? What do you like in this game? What are some of the matchups that you're looking at, and who you got?
A couple of things here. It's nice to see that the four teams that are playing for the conference championship are the best four teams in the NFL right now. So, I mean, they're all deserved to be here. Real quick, a little story. Last week, okay, with it being a night game, they weren't allowing tailgating. They weren't opening the parking lots up until 4:00 for the night game. So
I saw something on that. Yeah.
So the Eagles fans, the Philadelphia Wings were playing lacrosse that afternoon. So they were buying lacrosse tickets so that they could get into the stadium parking lot across the street, and they started their tailgate. They didn't even go in and watch the Wings game. They just wanted. So they're going to figure it out somehow.
Bunch of scumbags. They need a drink for 12 hours instead of 8.
Where were you Saturday afternoon?
Saturday night. Not a lot.
This game, Dallas put a big test in front of Purdy last week, and he passed it. But this week he's playing against a defense that is even better than Dallas. They're better on the defensive line, and they're better in the defensive backfield. I don't see a tight, low-scoring game here. I actually see a run-'em-up game. And I think the Eagles are going to Arizona with 37-24.
37-24? Okay. What do you got, Slick?
I mean, I'm going with those guys that fly high. Got to. Honestly, score-wise, I might go with what OG just said. 37-24. Yeah, I don't think it's. I don't know. I think Purdy's going to I think the first half is going to be kind of like close. Maybe not close like within 2 points, but I think the 49ers would be in range to be able to do something. But I think in the second half, I think the Eagles would kind of start pulling away. I just think the Eagles defense is like you guys said, like they've been hitting on all cylinders all season, like special teams, offense, defense. I just don't think the 49ers second half will have enough to just, I don't know, slow them down.
Purdy's
I
gonna
am
go
so
out there
disappointed.
looking like a deer in headlights, man. He's gonna go out
BP,
there and he's
I'm disappointed. Now, here's
BP,
why.
before you give your analysis, I missed that. I forgot to say one thing. San Fran is 0-2 this year against running quarterbacks, Justin Fields and Marcus Mariota. And now they're going up against somebody, and now Hurts may not be as good a runner as Fields is, but he's a hell of a lot better throwing the ball. So that's going to come into play here.
Yeah. Larry, to answer your question real quick, the weather's supposed to be, I think I have it here on my phone. It's high of 48 degrees. It's going to be relatively clear. I don't think there's going to be any weather that's really going to impact the game. I know today it's rainy there, but on Sunday, so high of 50 actually now. It's moved.
We've gotten 2 inches of rain today.
Yeah,
but it's not going to be a factor.
Yeah, it's not going to be a factor in this game. Now, I'm surprised, as you guys were giving your analysis, that you weren't drinking Kool-Aid, because you guys seem to have been drinking the Kool-Aid that the media is just serving up to you guys all week. Here you guys go. Here's the Philadelphia Kool-Aid. Here you go. Have at it. Now, I am going to call it down the middle, because I'm not going to say that the Eagles are a light opponent, because they're not. I do think this is the two best teams in the NFC, and these two teams have been on a collision course throughout the entire season, and this is the game that we want to see, right? And whoever is the best team is going to win this game and go represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Now, when you say that Philadelphia is a better defense than Dallas, I hate to tell you guys, but you're wrong. They're not.
Maybe flat
not
out statistically.
Not statistically. Now their passing defense is on track for a record setting, right? They had 70 sacks this year, but there is a chink in the armor of the Philadelphia defense. And look no further than the Washington Commanders, who gave the blueprint how to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. And I will tell you how it is. You have to run the ball, because the Philadelphia Eagles, when you run the ball against them, they give up, even against the Giants, they give up lots of yards per carry against that defense. Now, you're right. If the Philadelphia Eagles get out to a lead 14 points, it's going to be tough, because that plays right into the hands of what the Philadelphia Eagles want to do: rush the passer, force you to pass, and go for it. But the Philadelphia offense, what they like to do is right into what the San Francisco 49er defense is what they're best at, and that's stopping the run. They're the number one defense against the run. So it's not going to be easy trekking running the ball. It's going to be a slugfest. Even that Atlanta game was a slugfest, and there was a lot of sloppy play on the offense that caused them to lose that game. I do think that this is going to be a game where both teams are going to be really trying to establish their dominance in the trenches. Philadelphia is built to rush the passer. That is what they're built to do. That's what the entire league is out to do. Your Cincinnati Bengals, your Buffalo Bills, your Kansas City Chiefs, they like to throw the ball all over the field. And the Philadelphia Eagles are built to go after those type of teams. Now, San Francisco, we all know that they like to run the football. And if they're able to establish the run early and not allow Philadelphia to pin their ears back and go, it is going to be a ball game. Now, if Philadelphia is able to stop the run, I do see Philadelphia run away with this, but I'm not going to pick the Eagles in this. That's not the Niners are on a 12-game win streak.
It's all right. Okay? I'll take the $20.
Hey, I'm just telling you, if you guys want to just write them off, there's guys, the 49ers have all pros at every single level of their football team, whether it's tight end, whether it be running back, whether it be offensive line, whether it be defensive line, linebacker, or even safety. they have players too. And this is going to be a flat out physical football game. It's two different styles that are going to go against each other. And I'm curious, the 49ers defense is really, really fast. The Eagles offense is big and powerful. So I want to see who's able to establish that. For me, this game right here is a football nerd's dream, because we're going to be seeing the offenses and how they're trying to the run game and how they're trying to scheme up runs and how they're trying to scheme up pressure on the defensive side and how they're trying to do that. So I'm excited to see this game, but I don't see it being a high-scoring game. If it's a high-scoring game, the Philadelphia Eagles win this ball game. If the Philadelphia Eagles get to 30, they're going to win that football game. So the 49ers got to keep it in the 20s. If they're going to win this football game, it's going to be 24-17. The 49ers are going to win this football game.
Yeah. So BP,
duly noted.
Just to piggyback off what you said. You just said this game is a football nerd's dream.
It is.
That was a football nerd answer, because the real answer here is big people beat up little people. And Brock Purdy is a little person right now, and the Eagles are going to eat him alive on Sunday. And this game might start out about 17-0, and if it does, there ain't no way that he's coming back. So let's just put it in layman's terms instead of a long, drawn-out football nerd answer. Thank you.
Hey, Drew. Here's the thing. The thing that you're missing is that the 49ers have never put it on Brock Purdy. He's actually elevated the offense since he's been in there. But I want to tell you guys this little story. Back in 2002, there was a football team that went into Lincoln Financial Field. I think, I can't even remember what it was called. It might have been the Vet back then. Yeah, it was the Vet. And it was a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that had not beat a team when it was under 40 degrees. And the Philadelphia Eagles they had just beat up the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they were trying to win their to go to the Super Bowl. Andy Reid was the coach. I think this was their third consecutive NFC Championship game. Well, Tampa Bay went into that game, and it started out rough. The Philadelphia Eagles scored, I think it was Deuce Staley on the first drive. Well, Tampa Bay ended up winning that football game, and matter of fact, Rondé Barber got an interception and ran it all the way back for a touchdown. And it was so quiet in the Vet, and that was the last game in the Vet. Like, there was a celebration. There was going to be everything. There was policemen on horses ready to have this celebration, and nobody got to celebrate. It was dead quiet. And you know who was on that football team? The GM of the San Francisco 49ers, John Lynch. And if there's anybody that can tell his team of what it's like to play there and go in and win a tough football game against a rowdy crowd, it's him. And I'm just telling you right now, don't count these Niners out. Like, I know that there's a lot of people. I'm telling you right now that the 49ers are built to win this type of football game.
BP, I don't disagree with you, but you cannot compare.
Mental gymnastics. That's what you're trying to do.
BP,
I'm telling you,
we're talking about a Bucs defense that was, I don't know how many Hall of Fame guys they have on that squad. You can't compare that defense with the 49ers defense.
No. Okay, but they had a Warren Sapp, they had a Derek Brooks, and they had a safety, and they have those type of players right now. I'm not saying that they're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but they don't have a Price, they don't have a Sapp, they don't have a Derek Brooks, they don't have a Rondé Barber or a John Lynch. They don't have a what was the other corner? Averett. Like you can't compare that defense.
But they got a Hufanga, they got a Fred Warner, they got a Dre Grinlaw, they got a Eric Armstead and a Nick Bosa.
I'm not saying you guys' defense is slouch or a pushover. You guys' defense is potent, like seriously. But you can't compare it to that team.
Oh my!
I'm sorry. I'm not a Bucs fan. I've never been a Bucs fan. But that defense
from 2002.
That defense
Tony still had all his thumbs in 2002. What are we doing here? Like,
hey, again, I'm just telling you.
Again, mental gymnastics.
You want to write them off?
BP, right. I'm not in any way, shape, or form. I'm too smart for that. I'm not saying that the San Fran cannot win this game. Everything has to go right for them, I believe, for them to win this game.
I agree with you. I agree.
I just, what we're doing here, everything's opinion. Some of us do more work than others and to form that opinion, but it's our opinions. You like, you see, he's the one that doesn't do a whole lot. The seal
I'm
there.
Tell you this, though. I'm excited to watch this ball game because it's going to be a lot of fun, just like this next game that we're going to talk about.
Ooh,
because now
Save
we
yourself.
got the Bengals going into Kansas City. Now, the Bengals beat Kansas City 3 times in the year 2022. That was in the AFC Championship game last year, early on in the year. They beat them during the season. Go ahead,
Prophet.
PP,
Don't take what I'm going to say.
BP, I'm sorry. I'm not going to. I got to go back 1 second. Okay. Seeing how you went back 20 years, I'm going to go back 5 years. Jalen Hurts beat Brock Purdy in college, 42-41.
He did. I wanted to.
And Purdy had 5 touchdowns or so in that game. He had a great game, but
I wanted to bring this up, and I was actually going to bring it on the show, and I ran out of time. But just check this out. I'm going to read off a couple things. So the last 7 starts for both Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy, this actually shocked me a little bit. I'm not comparing the players. I'm just taking a look at 7 starts, okay? Jalen Hurts, 7-0. Pass yards per game, 234. Completion percentage, 64.8. Pass TD to interception ratio, 10-3. So 10 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Passer rating 96.8 and passing plus rushing touchdowns 17. Brock Purdy 7-0, pass yards per game 234.9, completion percentage 66.7, so 3 percentage points higher. Pass touchdowns to interception 14-2, passer rating 116, and passing plus rushing touchdowns 16. So very comparable in different styles. I'm just saying.
Again, let me dispel a football nerd's dream here. The past 7 games for the Eagles, Lions, Vikings, Commanders, Jaguars, Cardinals, Cowboys. The past 7 games for the 49ers, Bears, Seahawks, Broncos, Rams, Panthers, Falcons. Give me a break with your skewed stats.
No, it wasn't.
Dude. Or are you counting the playoffs? I'm not counting the playoffs. I'm talking about regular season.
Well, that was the last 7 starts. So
yeah,
it was the Cowboys, it was the Seahawks.
Out of all that, you're comparing apples and oranges. Purdy played a cake schedule, and Hurts is playing legitimate football at the end of the year. Stop.
Hey, Drew, I don't know if you know this, but the Eagles actually have the second to last worst schedule, like strength of schedule out of anybody in the NFL. They're ranked 31.
Well, not the last 7 games, apparently.
Actually, for the entire thing. But
for me, it's not even just the whole stat deal. Like you said, there are 2 different offenses, and Philly asks Hurts to do different things, and Frisco asks Purdy to do different things. Now the QB rating might be higher, but let's be real. Purdy does a lot of check downs and a lot of short routes, and his guys.
He's a point guard.
Yeah, his guys make plays, so those are still completions.
Jordan,
but it's not like he's just throwing the ball just down the field almost every play. Like Hurts isn't even that type of guy, but he throws the ball down the field more than Purdy does.
For Hurts, he's the guy that the offense runs through, and in San Francisco, the offense runs through Purdy, but he distributes the ball to all these other guys. So, yeah, it's completely different. But what I want to bring up is that what's crazy is how similar that they are.
But you got to play. This game's going to be, both of these games are going to be phenomenal. You got playmakers on both sides of the ball. Both teams. The Eagles' offense, they got great players on offense. They got great players on defense. That's the San Fran.
It's going to be like I'm excited for, and I will say this: there's no shame in losing to an Eagles team. Like if the Niners would have lost to a Dallas team or a Seahawks team, yeah, they shouldn't lose to those teams. But an Eagles team, like if they're truly better, go for it. But these are the 2 best teams in the NFC, and that's what I'm excited to watch. And they're 2 different styles. So that when I say football nerd, like you have an offense driven with Kyle Shanahan and all that stuff, and a number 1 defense, and even the defenses are built differently, and the offenses are built differently. It's really going to be fun to watch. And what's crazy is segueing into this game is that in the NFC you have 2 teams that are kind of built off the run in different ways and built off strong defense in different ways, but these 2 teams are built through their quarterbacks. You got Joe Burrow on the Cincinnati side, and you have Kansas City with going through Mahomes. Now, obviously, the health of Mahomes, in my mind, is a big question mark because the way that he's able to move around and make plays is what makes him special. And I don't know how much he's going to be able to do that, right? So both games are on Sunday. This one is going to take place, I think it's at 6:30 Eastern time. And what's interesting in this, even with Kansas City, even with Mahomes' injury, I see the Bengals right here being 2.5-point favorites in this game. 46.5 over under. Drew, let's talk about this game. We got Burrow going into Kansas City. You got the Bengals right now saying this is Burrowhead Stadium that they're going into. Drew, take it away. What are you excited about this game?
Dude, this game, if the Eagles-Niners game is the appetizer, this game is going to be the 42-ounce Cowboy cut tomahawk steak that everybody's ready to sink their teeth into. I am ready for this game to be a 42-40 battle. Which way is it going to go? Which way could it go? I think you got to the one huge factor here is the injury to Patrick Mahomes. We talked about it earlier. You get a high ankle sprain. Ricky, you don't come back from that in a week. And you know that. You don't come back from a high ankle sprain in a week. If they shoot him up,
you won't be 100, but you can definitely come back.
That's what I'm saying. And for him to be Patty Mahomes as Patty Mahomes, he's doing a lot on that leg, man. All right, and
yeah,
you can shoot him up, you can tape him up, you could lace him up, you could scrape him up, whatever you do, man. It's not going to be 100%, and a lot of it is going to be how much can he handle, what can he do, who's going to win the turnover battle, who's going to make less mistakes is going to be the winner of this game. The Bengals, I mentioned it earlier, I think personally are the hottest team. We talked about, I was high on them in the beginning of the season. I said it's one of the best offenses in football, and it took a little while to get there. It's a couple games. They, a little early on, they had their tribulations, kind of feeling themselves out. But towards the end of the year here, they have completely just dominated from an offensive standpoint. I think this game's going to be a shootout. Again, it really is. I mean, it's pretty good games when these two teams get together, and I'm really looking forward to it. I got this one. If it's 42-40, I'm going Bengals, and I'm kind of exaggerating with 42-40, but this is going to be a high scoring game.
I
got the Bengals. Man. I got the Bengals in this one. Eagles, Bengals, Super Bowl. Book it now.
I'll tell you what. Like normally, you like, oh man, I want this matchup, but if this matchup, it's not going to be good. Any one of these combination of matchups is going to be an absolute, like, gorgeous Super Bowl. Like, it's going to be a phenomenal Super Bowl. I can't wait. So I like that pick, Drew. That's awesome. Prophet, I can't wait to what you have to say about this game because I can't wait for kickoff.
Well, first, the Chiefs, just to let you know, the Chiefs opened at 2.5-point favorites on this game. They were bet. Cincinnati was bet to the favorites. A ton of money's going on in Cincinnati. Yeah. So if Vegas has anything to do with it, Kansas City going to win this game. But before the Baltimore playoff game, I said Cincinnati is my team for these playoffs. They got a chip on their shoulder. They're going to be in the Super Bowl. That being said, in my playoff fantasy pool, I took Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts as my two quarterbacks. Why I did that, wow, I don't know. But just an interesting stat from this past weekend's game. When Mahomes was in before he got hurt, he threw 12 passes. 6 of them were outside the pocket. When he came back in, he threw an additional 18 passes. Not one left the pocket. Mm. He stayed in the pocket.
That's why he's the prophet. The pocket prophet.
Now, that being said, fortunately, Cincinnati doesn't have as great a defensive line as the two teams from the NFC that, he may have time. Cincinnati's going to have to blitz them to put pressure on them.
Yeah.
And if they do that, you don't want to blitz Patrick Mahomes.
Well, except for maybe this week, because if he's not healthy, I almost think that the tendency would be to try to put some pressure on him, to try to get him to move a little bit, to make him more uncomfortable, right? Like, if that's what I'd be thinking as a defensive coordinator. There's blood in the water. I want to go get this guy.
But what's going to happen is the first time he beats that blitz, because he's leaving, his receivers one-on-one, they're going to come out of that. this is a tough game. I mean, I can take a quarter and toss it. No, I'm sorry, Joe. I went. Sorry about that, Joe. That's your deal.
That'll get you fine.
I'm going with Cincinnati in this game. And I too think it's going to be a high scoring game, but I don't think it's going to be as high as Slinger. I'm going to say 31-28.
Hey, I'm not high.
So, last year we
That
saw
makes one of us.
we saw Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes really, that was the whole talk of the playoffs last year, the way that game ended. And do you see that kind of happening potentially in this game? Just both these quarterbacks going back and forth? I mean, at like the scores that you guys are talking about, it seems that way.
I actually don't. I think Cincinnati's going to get out and is going to get out to probably like a 2-touchdown lead, and Kansas City's going to fight their way back into it.
Damn.
I don't see a back and forth game here.
Okay. Slick, I can't wait to hear what you got on this one, because I know the Bengals broke your heart last week. But now we got Mahomes and we got Burrow. Really two of the best quarterbacks that there are in the entire National Football League. I'm excited to hear what you got to say about this.
I agree with Drew. I think it's going to be a shootout, and I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. As far as Mahomes goes, no, I for sure I know he won't come back 100%, but I think he'll get enough treatment, and they might even shoot him up to where he'll be able to play. Now, if he re-injures it throughout the game, that can be a backbreaker. But as long as they keep him like away and try to like police him for the most part, I think he'll be okay. Like, you've had NFL guys who've had high ankle sprains that play receivers or other positions where you got to stop, start, cut, do whatever the case may be, and they just figure out how to like limit them, or either they figure out how to like put them in certain situations, then they still get some type of production out of them. I think Mahomes will be okay, long as he doesn't re-injure it.
I do see a scenario, just kind of thinking in my head, and just being in locker rooms with you guys, had the privilege to do that. Drew, I know, like, if you were ever hurt and you were out there playing, I know that the offensive line, like, that they just look themselves in the eye and know that they got to protect you a little bit more. And I think that type of thing could be in play this weekend, where like it kind of galvanizes an offensive front to protect their guy. Because I will tell you, I was so impressed the fact that he even came back in that game. Watching that thing on replay, if my leg bent that way, I'll tell you what, right now, I ain't going back in the game. I can't walk.
We talked about it a little bit earlier. It might have been in the pre-show when I was keeping quiet because I didn't want to erupt like I did pre-show. Those tackles are dirty. I don't care what you guys say. Those tackles are dirty. And we saw it twice this weekend. And it broke Tony Pollard's leg, and it almost broke Patrick Mahomes' leg. These defenders know exactly what the hell they're doing. They're dragging these guys down. We talked about it earlier in the year on the show. It's called a Seahawk tackle, and they're dragging these guys down from the hips, and they're throwing their legs into the back of the runner's legs, and it's dangerous and it's dirty. And I don't care what anybody else says. You want to protect these guys' heads. You're doing it. I get that. I understand that. But at what cost are we protecting the players, from concussions when we're taking out their legs? Those defenders know exactly what they're doing when they're throwing their legs into the back of these guys.
I'll say this.
The tackle on Mahomes was dirty, and the tackle on Pollard was the same freaking way.
I'll say this, though. Like, I mean, with all the rules, there's only so many safe ways to bring a grown man to the ground.
I agree.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, these guys are big, strong men.
To say that these are coincidences, I don't think these guys know how to get these guys down, and that's one way to get them down, but it is a dangerous way, and they know that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think when you're trying to bring somebody down that you have it in you to be like, okay, I'm just going to lay my whole body weight on a player. The one to Mahomes looked a little bit worse than the one to Pollard. I know Pollard's end up being worse, but I mean, to digress on that, I know that it's tough. It's a tough situation.
It's the same concept as a horse collar tackle, just not pulling them down from behind.
Right.
It's the same. It's the same motion. It's the same body motion. But yeah,
I get that. So In this game, so just to recap, Drew, you got the Bengals. Prophet, you got the Bengals, and Slick, you also got the Bengals, right?
No, I got Cincy.
You got
not Cincy, but Kansas
you got
City.
The Chiefs. You got the Chiefs. This one's really tough because Cincinnati has beat Kansas City 3 times in a row. It's like they have their number, and you know that Kansas City knows that, and there's all this bulletin board material that's been out there this week. Eli Apple's been going, like, of all people that should be not talking, like that guy probably should not ever talk.
Yeah.
But I do have Cincinnati winning this football game because I think that they're just playing the best overall football in the passing game and the running game. They have 3. Ricky, you talk about having a number 1 receiver. The Bengals have 3 number 1 receivers on their football team. I think they got 3. They got
Boyd
Higgins.
is the number 1.
I'm just saying, like, they have 3 guys that can go out there and legitimately beat one-on-one coverage pretty consistently.
I'll give you Higgins and Chase for sure. Boyd, if you erase both of them, Boyd doesn't have a productive game.
That's probably fair. But then you got Joe Mixon in the backfield, and then you add their tight end, and then you got who's distributing the football. Now, what's going to be crazy is that I don't know the health of that offensive line of the Bengals. It didn't come to fruition last week because the Bills front was, they've been kind of injured. They didn't have Von Miller. Kansas City's pretty healthy up front. They got a grown man by the name of Chris Jones playing at defensive tackle, and they got Frank Clark on the outside. They have guys that are going to be coming after Burrow, so that could be a little bit of chink in the armor, so to speak. But I think that they have a good enough run game to be able to keep it off balance enough. I'm going the Bengals in this one. I just feel like they're playing better overall football, and I think defensively they might be a little bit. He's a dog. I love it. Chase is a beast, man. He's an absolute beast. I got the Bengals in this one. I do. I think it's going to be Bengals 49ers. I think Slick, that means you got Chiefs, Eagles, and then the rest of you guys have Bengals, Eagles, right? So I think we have close to every combination. The only one I would be kind of happy to see Kansas City, if it was Kansas City and the 49ers again. I'd like to have a little revenge. That would be nice.
Wait, so is there any way for with those picks for you guys to dethrone the Lone Ranger?
Not this week. Well, yeah, because I have the Niners. I have the Niners. I can tie you.
I would have.
But if I lose that game, then I think it's done. But I'm not going to lose that game.
It's done.
No, I'm not going to lose that game. It'll go into Super Bowl weekend. Super Bowl weekend.
I'll tell you what. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Kansas City does win this game, but I wouldn't be the least bit surprised either if Cincinnati blows them out. If Mahomes can't go, 80%, it could be a long day for Kansas City.
It could be. So, Larry, the standings in your challenge, I'm a game back from Drew. I gained one this last week. Slick, you're 2 games back, and I think Prophet, you're 2 games back as well.
Yeah, I'm 7-3, I think it was.
Yep. And I'm 8-2. Yeah, 8-2, and then you're freaking 9-1.
9-1 if I didn't change my damn pick, but I couldn't stomach the fact that I had the Niners picked, and I'm glad I did what I did, and I'll take that loss again 20 times over.
Boys, I feel so good about the Bengals. I'm just gonna throw this bad boy on.
Nice. Woo! You look like the Lone Ranger's long lost brother.
There we go. Doesn't work with these headphones, man.
I almost got us canceled, BP. I'm so glad I caught myself, bro.
You almost said my long lost brother?
No. Anyway.
Slinger, I've been telling you for years, ever since the first time I took you out to Vegas, that you bet with your head, not your heart. And you bet and going with your heart last week and ended up costing you in that Dallas game.
I'm still in first place.
Yeah, but you would have had it won already.
I did.
Oh, listen to the pops.
I would rather, I'd rather die on that hill than to give him that credit.
Wow. That's unbelievable. the hatred that must live in your heart for my Niners,
you would
man.
fit so well in Philadelphia. You should just move here and become an Eagles fan.
You know, that's
they take you right in.
You know the thing about being
they're all
a fan,
bandwagon
though,
fans anyway. Most of them.
Don't you dare call me a bandwagon.
Half of them
I've been
can't name a player on the roster.
I can name my entire roster.
The quarterback. Yeah, the ones that hit all the home runs. Yeah, him.
Oh, my
not for
gosh.
nothing, BP, but I watched the show back last week, man. You were getting a little upset, I think, when you had two people going against your Niners. When Slingers
I don't mind people going against my Niners because the next week they've been playing so well that they had, their last loss is they haven't lost in 3 months. And the last time they gave up a 100-yard rusher was actually October of 2021, by the way. But I just had to bring this up. I almost dressed up as this guy, but I'm like, I can't possibly host the show with a straight face with that guy right there.
Dude, that's a mix between BP and the Prophet there with the handlebar mustache.
It is.
I think if you gave that hat to the Prophet, that would look pretty.
Oh hell, I wouldn't be seen in that hat.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, hey, you know what time it is? It's time for our hot shot of the week.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
Let's start off with Drew. Who you got, man? Who is your hot shot of the week?
My hot shot of the week, other than the Lone Ranger making a one-off appearance last week, I don't know if you guys noticed last week, Prophet had something in the background said R.I.P. Jay. Speaking of Jay Briscoe, he's a professional wrestler who passed away tragically last week.
Oh man!
In Delaware, he's about 38 years old. He died in a car accident. His two young daughters were also in the car, and the one daughter I think is doing okay, and then the other daughter they're saying is paralyzed from the waist down. So it was a tragic accident. Jay Briscoe is part of a tag team, one of the hottest tag teams, most popular tag teams in all of professional wrestling, other than the WWE, the Briscoe brothers. And I had divided attention here during this game or during the podcast, because for the first time ever they had Jay Briscoe's brother, Mark Briscoe, wrestling on live television tonight against one of Jay's former, best friends, nemesis, whatever, and it just so happens to be Jay's birthday. So I want to give a hot shot to rest in peace Jay Briscoe, to Mark Briscoe, his brother, for having the courage to go out a week later after his brother passes away and go out on live television and wrestle in front of thousands and thousands of people. And it's just a sad situation, but it was tough to watch because he was so emotional at the end. And but he did a good job, man. He honored his brother. It was more of a celebration of life than it was a somber story. So it was good, man. But rest in peace, Jay. And that's my hot shot of the week, man.
Oh man,
That's what's up.
rest in peace, man.
Just a little side note with that. The Briscoe brothers are probably the best tag team that nobody even knows of, because they're in Ring of Honor. They're not in the big, they have wrestled in the big corporations, but they choose not to. And that hit home with me too. That's why I had it on there last week, because that's my profession. That was a little bit of in our background. But that being said, I'm going back to football. Very simple. I absolutely love what Cincinnati's been doing the past couple of weeks, man. They're having fun. They're winning games. They're beating people up, flipping coins. Go get your refunds, man. My hot shot is to Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals this week. Good luck this weekend.
We got a lot of cinnamon whiskey there.
Ooh, what was that?
Little Tennessee cinnamon whiskey.
Ooh, I like it, man.
Give me your address. I'll send you a bottle.
That'll be heartburn right before you go to bed.
If you like what the hell's that Fireball stuff, you'll never drink it after drinking this.
Oh man, Fireball. I think that's the only thing that's ever made me throw up. It's Fireball.
Yeah, this won't do that.
Well, that and the dip that Slick gave me, or not Slick, Slinger gave me.
Yeah.
The first dip I ever had, that was, oh my God.
You're supposed to chew it, not swallow it, though.
Oh, I didn't swallow it, but man, I had a buzz on like you wouldn't believe. And you guys remember Akon, bro? He was laughing his ass off as I'm trying to go down the stairs of the fun, and I'm like, "Rah!"
Yeah.
That was a bad time, man. That was a bad time. Wash it down with the doner kebab. All right, Slick, man. Who you got, man? Who's your hot shot of the week?
Staying on the football topic, my shot of the week goes to Nick Sirianni and the Eagles, just for what they have done as an organization this season versus last season. When he came in as a new head coach, he messed up on the press conference, and it was like the laughing stock of football for a while. And they were talking about how they didn't feel like he was ready for the opportunity. At one point, they were talking about possibly or questioning trading Jalen Hurts because they didn't think he was ready to play NFL football or to be a starter. And all season, you do whatever you need to do, and look where they are.
That's awesome, man. I have such a hard time because, you know, the 49ers are going against him this week, but I really do like Nick Sirianni, and what's really cool is that you had an opportunity to really know him personally, so I've kind of dove in on him even a little bit more, like, and you could totally see, like, that little head nod, like that little swag that he has. He almost reminds me of, I don't know if you guys ever seen Shameless,
Rocky
but Lip.
Balboa.
He reminds me of Lip a little bit. Like, he just got, like, looks like him just a tiny
I mean,
bit.
he has that. He's Italian, so he has that, like, cockiness, kind of like.
No, at least he's a real person that they can idolize. Philadelphians been idolizing a fictional character since 1970.
Balboa. Hey, I'll tell you what.
Who doesn't love Rocky?
Who doesn't love Rocky? Larry, his hot shot is Kittle and those camera eye shots, man. He somehow finds that camera all the time, man.
That was funny.
I'll tell you what. Well, my hot shot, I got two of them. This week. Now, one is my neighbors, because I have been an obnoxious ass after every single one of these 49er games. I've been going outside. I've been lighting off fireworks. Been running around my little flag. It's been great. Okay. It's been awesome. Hey, man, you got to lose yourself a little bit to something that you can't control. And I just love watching this football team. I love watching them win. And my neighbor, Johan, is a diehard Eagles fan. I told him it's going to be a long week. It's going to be a long week. And so I'm already.
Your neighbor?
He's my neighbor.
Johan's your neighbor?
Johan's my neighbor.
All right, Johan, let's go, baby.
The other one that I got is I meant to mention him last week, but it's Jeff Ramage that's in our comments here. Now, this dude was on a cruise to Belize, okay? He's not anywhere remotely close to nothing in America, and he's tuning into our show commenting last week on his vacation with his wife, man. I love you.
I can get behind
Blitz
that.
Nation, but Jeff Ramage, that's another level, brother. I love you, man. I appreciate you tuning into our show in Belize, nonetheless. Hot shot, bro. And my mother is right. The other thing that made me throw up, other than the Fireball, it was Bacardi 151. The first time I ever drank was Bacardi 151, and somebody challenged me and said, "Let's go shot for shot." And you guys know how competitive I am.
That was the first time
That was the first time I ever drank.
Shot for shot with somebody?
I had no idea what it was.
Oh my God.
And I was competitive. I wasn't going to lose. I'll tell you what, I lost everything that was in my stomach for like 3 days.
Go set off more fireworks in your front yard, you freaking lunatic.
I'm going to. I love you guys, man. I can't wait to talk about it next
all
week.
in fun, boys. All in good fun.
All in fun. Sure. Can't wait to talk about it next week. And until next time.
Peace out.
Peace
Thank
out.
you, nation.
Thank you, guys. See you guys next week.
Eagles, Bengals.
Cry.
Take it
Eagles,
to
cry.
the bank.